Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Nintendotherapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all the things Nintendo. And with me this week, we have Sean Flanagan as per usual.
And happy Mario Day as this premieres. So,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why we did what we're gonna do. I already forgot that. and also with us this week, all the way from Thailand, is Harrison.
How's it going, guys? And yes, happy Mario Day when this comes out.
welcome.
Welcome to the show. So one thing we've been doing with the guests we have here is we've talked to everyone about how, like, what their history with Nintendo is. So why don't you tell the listeners, what Nintendo means to you?
Well, Nintendo to me has always been fun, and although I feel like I have a passion for all things video games, Nintendo has been what's kept me interested throughout my life in video games. I'm 33 years old now, so I wasn't there in the beginning, but growing up,
You were close.
yeah, right, 89. So
you were there when they started to figure it out.
Exactly. And I think growing up in my lower middle class home, which I felt very fortunate to be in, it was nice because I always grew up playing just the last generation of games. So growing up in the Super Nintendo era, we were playing Genesis, we were playing NES, we were playing all of those classics. So for a while, I was just one behind, and I have a lot of fond memories from the beginning. And getting prepared for the show, I was reminiscing a lot on what I did in the beginning, the games I used to play, and the habits I used to form with just playing those games and what I still do now. So for me, video games is something I've been passionate in. My other passion is education. So I'm a teacher here.
Nice.
I was a teacher back home. So another big thing that I'm doing now is I'm trying to find the connect between education and video games, because something that I found is that a big motivation among students now, whether it's students in China that I teach now or students back home, is video games and literacy. The motivation to learn literacy is big throughout video games. So that's what I'm doing now. That's kind of something I'm passionate about now, is how to connect teaching and the motivation behind learning literacy and video games.
Have you tried Mario is Missing? That was an educational game on the Super Nintendo.
No, I don't think so. And does it teach like letters and words?
Mario is Missing. There's two of them. There's Mario's Missing and Mario's Time Machine. What was it? Mario's Missing is the one where you have to figure out it's a lot like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Sure.
It's like the Mario version of that. You play as Luigi. These were like infamous for being games that kind of like tricked kids back in the day. You'd rent it from the local rental store thinking you're getting a Mario game. And instead it was an educational game where you spent most of the time reading about whatever country he was hiding out in the file you started.
I'm one of the poor people that actually owned that game.
I rented it. I definitely rented it multiple times thinking like I was wrong. Thinking like, no, I just must not be able to find the game part.
I don't think I've ever played that, but I was big on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, or Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego,
which would be Mario's Time Machine.
Yeah,
Mario's Time Machine. Okay, so yeah. Right, I was very big on those games, and it's funny. I laugh at now because I see in the online education space a lot of people, they'll call themselves what is called like edutainers or something, like, oh, I'm not an educator, I'm an educator who's an entertainer. And I think that's funny because that phrase was coined in video games. I don't know, 40 years ago, a long, long time ago. So yeah, there's a big history with the edutainment part of video games.
Yeah, and it's very.
A lot of the people our age that I know learn to type with Mario Teaches Typing.
That too.
Yeah, that too. And I thought it was, for a while, I thought it was silly and I thought it was a hard sell. But now I see teachers now they're teaching English second language through Animal Crossing, or they're using Minecraft to teach literacy and
well, I'm jealous.
And
that's really cool.
Right. And even though it's a hard sell among some parents, and although like you think, oh, like, you know, they just want to play video games. I mean, if it makes money and it motivates children, then I guess it's not a silly idea. I think it's something that should be embraced, and I think it's something that we'll see embraced more in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially with like all the different like everyone's got, all the kids today have their phones. I don't want to sound like an old man, but all the kids today, they got their phones and they got their apps, and there's, you know, great potential for educational games through there.
Right. Right. And if you live in Thailand where I live and you want to play games, you're going to have to learn another language at some point, because there's not so many games that are in Thai language, for example. There's some.
That makes sense. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, there's some, and if you're in the mobile space, which is the kind of separate but the most popular, if you want to play Nintendo games, there's not that many that are in Thai. I think I've only seen one or two.
Wow.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a good time to transition into the news this week, because there's not a whole lot of news and rumors for Nintendo this week. So we'll get that done, and then we'll move on to the main event, which we set up last week, which was we're going to be doing we're not doing a top 5 list this time, though. We changed it. Harrison had a great idea to do a draft of Mario power-ups instead. So we're going to do it that way. But first, the news. So, like I said, not a whole lot. I thought worth mentioning was former Nintendo rival Sonic the Hedgehog, who has now appeared in several Nintendo titles. He took home the favorite movie award at the Kids' Choice Awards for Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
That was a really good movie, so I don't disagree with that pick.
I still have yet to see it, but I have it in my queue or whatever.
It's on at least 2 streaming services right now, I think.
HBO Max, right?
Paramount's got to have it, and I want to say Amazon, maybe.
Then it's Paramount that I have it in my queue, because I have that. But have you seen it, Harrison?
I've never seen it. I've seen the trailers for it, but I don't think we have those streaming services here. And
that was really frustrating when I went to Aruba recently. Was Hulu is like only in America apparently, which I didn't know. And like half the shows my wife and I watch are on Hulu. So next time we travel, we have to get an Express VPN, because there's nothing for us to watch.
Which brings you to our sponsor for today.
I wish. I really wish.
I'm prepared to do a whole podcast on streaming services, but no time for that now. Do you know the other nominations?
I don't, but that's something I should have written down. Let me do.
You're always so prepared.
Dude.
I injured myself this week, so I'm a little less prepared. I have a badly sprained ankle now, which, you know, getting old, fun.
It's awesome. Totally don't recommend it at all.
You don't spring back like you used to.
No.
Man, you'd think this would be a simple Google search, but
I don't know.
maybe if I type nominees.
I mean, this is important stuff.
Yeah. Nominees.
Nick, for God's sakes. Come on.
So the nominees were Hocus Pocus 2, Top Gun Maverick, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Monster High the movie.
So this was...
That's the best of the bunch, in my opinion, honestly, Sonic.
So this was movie of the year?
For the Kids' Choice Awards, yeah. Favorite movie.
So this is not best children's movie, best animation. This is Top Gun Maverick versus Sonic the Hedgehog.
Correct. Yep.
Because when I think movies
they were... Sorry, go ahead, John.
Clamor to, I think 30 plus year sequel to Top Gun.
But
and the way they word their category is it's called favorite movie, not like best movie or anything like that. So yeah. That's their top award though, I think.
Favorite movie. So who's faster though? Who's faster, Maverick or Sonic?
I would think Sonic could smoke Maverick in a race.
He can do way more stunts than Tom Cruise too, because he's computer generated. So it doesn't matter.
You know, that wouldn't surprise me if during the first Sonic they approached Tom Cruise and he's like, I just can't physically do that, so no, I won't do it. So then they went to CG.
Gotta go fast.
I don't think Scientologists can play video games. I'm actually not that sure.
Really?
Can they?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I doubt it. That they can't really consume a whole lot of media.
But Tom Cruise, I mean, maybe movies is one of them they're allowed. He's like, one of the things he's kind of known for is apparently he watches a new movie every single day. Like like in his rider when he's on set for a movie is he has time cleared to watch a movie.
So what you're saying is Tom Cruise has definitely seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Probably.
He's like, this is what the kids wanted instead of fast planes. He wanted that surfboard. Do they still give the surfboard? Or were they the blimp?
They're the blimp.
Who gives the surfboard?
Fox used to give the surfboard, but I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, you're probably right. Other piece of news here. So this one kind of scared me, and I have not had time to check my Wii U. So everyone get a little scared here if you own a Wii U. Here it is. Players that haven't used their Wii U in a while are discovering that when booted up, their Wii U isn't working anymore. The Wii U seems to have lingering memory system errors, especially the memory error, and then it's a bunch of numbers that can occur on a gamepad. None of the Wii U consoles impacted were modded, tinkered with in any way. So these are all like standard Nintendo issued Wii U's, and they're failing if you haven't played it in a while. The corruption that leads to the errors seems to be related to the NAND. Don't know what that is. And factory reset does not fix the console. So I'm kind of nervous because I haven't booted my Wii U in a while, and it seems to be what causes the problem is letting it sit idle for a long, long time. So,
well, if anyone is listening that got the Wii U I traded so that it could become a Switch, I hope you're still using it.
So the problem with this is Wii U owners can't submit their console for repairs anymore. Nintendo has basically cut ties with the system almost. They don't do repairs. They don't fix it. Maybe they'll change that for this new error. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a redundant console at this point. There's not a whole lot in the Wii U library that they haven't also released on Switch now.
It is, Zelda but games. It's surprising to me too, though, because normally Nintendo, their consoles last a pretty long time. So I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I guess it has a lot to do with how rushed out the Wii U was. And something I want to just sort of, well, it is related because it's Wii U related, but it's not related to this problem. But something I've wanted to get off my chest for a while. There seems to be like a revisionist history happening with what hurt the Wii U sales-wise. And every time I bring up how bad the name of the system was for sales,
yep,
it seems like in the beginning everyone agreed, and now I encounter like people saying, no, that wasn't it. It was this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, there were other things that contributed to its failure. But just to get this off my chest, as someone who worked in retail when the Wii U was out, I can assure you all the name was a huge problem. I tried selling those things. I worked at Target, and that Christmas, pretty much every parent was like, we already have a Wii. And like, it's not a Wii, it's a Wii U. And the thing people bring up is they'll be like, oh, the Xbox has confusing names for its systems. And it's like, yes, but they didn't name a system like the Xbox 360U and make it a different system. Like, doesn't that sound like it's just another 360? So, I just want to say, don't let that get written out of history, how much the name was a big part of why that system didn't sell well.
I mean, if you lived through it, you have to remember that time, because I was confused when it came out. I mean,
yeah, I remember telling everyone like we'd have the same conversation all the time. I'd be like, it's its own system. It plays its own games. And they'd be like, but it plays Wii games. And I'm like, yes, it plays Wii games, but it also plays the Wii U games, which the Wii will not. Like, I had this conversation like 10 times a day, and it just wasn't getting through to them.
Well, this is definitely foreshadowing into the next segment where I want to talk about weird Nintendo names. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Another news story this week was that MVG thinks that backwards compatibility will be difficult for the Nintendo Switch successor. So they said that Nintendo Switch uses, and then they name like a very specific computer chip. The same chip, if Nintendo is to move away from this chip, which they feel strongly that they probably will, because it's something that like basically no one's been using this chip since like 2018 except Nintendo. It's outdated. So their new system probably isn't going to have it, but the games need it to run. That's the long and short of this.
Okay.
But I thought this was kind of confusing because like a month or two ago, Nintendo put out something basically saying like, oh, backwards compatibility is easier now than it's ever been. So like, who do I believe in this situation?
What I want to know is, for the next system, I would like to know if Nintendo is going to move in a way with their digital stores similar to Xbox and PlayStation, or at least with Xbox, where it's kind of a digital storefront and you can buy old games, new games, and the
Wii U kind of did that, and I wish the Switch carried over their eShop because I liked their layout a lot better.
I mean, it's so frustrating with how Nintendo does that sort of thing and the accessibility of certain games. But I would hope in this next generation, I wonder if it could be like all digital games, Switch maybe earlier are going to be available, but the physical games, I don't know. But it's so hard for me to believe that it's not going to be backwards compatible. And I also wonder if they're going to, have a dock that you could use your Switch and your Switch Pro, Switch 2 for.
Yeah, because I don't know much about how computers work you can gather from this conversation. But I'm wondering, like, couldn't they, whatever that chip is, include it in the new system and make sure it's got like, you remember when the first DS came out, it played at Game Boy Advance games because it had its own little tab for that. So they could do something like that, I'm thinking. But who knows?
We're just going to have to wait and see till we're all at the midnight release for the Virtual Boy Color.
Yep. So funny, this transitions into that. So you remember last week I talked about that leak that came. We're on to rumors now. The Pokemon DLC guy who leaked all the correct information about the Pokemon DLC.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got credibility. And then I was like, well, the way this is worded, it could just mean like there's a new console coming out with like different artwork on it or something. Well, he came back online to clarify things. And I'm actually kind of starting to believe this rumor. So he came back online to basically clarify, no, it's not a new artwork style, that in December of this year, Nintendo will be releasing an updated version of the Nintendo Switch. So he has no specifics on what will be different about this new model, but he did come on to clarify he means no, like a new model. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. Like it's getting like Charlie Brown in the football with the Switch Pro type of stuff. But like if you think about it, I went back and checked this, and it's crazy how soon the Nintendo Switch launched compared to where it was announced. Like it was announced, I think it was something like 5 months or less before it was in your hands and ready to go. So they're not doing this thing anymore where they announce systems like a year ahead of time. You know, the market has changed.
I wonder if that was due to the fact that it was succeeding the Wii U.
That's true too. They had to get something out quick.
But I wonder because like a few days ago, I watched Arlo's new video where he talks about, you know, this is the end. Like the hype is over for the Switch.
I love Arlo. Yeah, I saw that.
And he talked about how, you know, if the Switch didn't do well, where is Nintendo today? Because the Wii U didn't do well, and they were releasing this hybrid console, which to me in the beginning I thought it was going to be another Wii U, and it wasn't going to work. It's completely wrong.
Yeah, they would absolutely have a new system by now if the Switch wasn't the mega success that it was.
Absolutely. So I wonder where these rumors come from, because we hear these rumors all the time. But if it was December, that's 7 months after, not even 7 months after Zelda releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of I can't remember if he said December or if he said fourth quarter, but I'm almost positive this rumor said December because it's going to come out the same week as the next Pokemon DLC thing. So buy Nintendo stock and hope that this thing comes out.
Kevin, do you think the next Mario game will be on the Switch or the next generation?
I think it'll be on the next generation. I do think we said in our first episode and a few times since now that at first we didn't think Nintendo was going to put anything new out this year for sure. I mean, now rumors are starting to shift that way, and probably not next year. We were saying like first quarter 2025 for the new system, but it does seem like they are done with major releases for the Switch. We got pretty much Metroid Prime 4 and Pikmin 4 coming, and that's kind of all we know about at this point. So they said that they did. I remember reading a news story a little while back about how there's a Mario game always in development. So I would think whatever they're working on right now, probably going to whatever comes next, whether it's Switch Pro or new system altogether.
You said we have Metroid Prime 4 coming out?
It's been in development for like 5 years. They reset they restarted the project at one point. I think that was in 2019.
Right.
They made an announcement where they were like, unfortunately, we are starting Metroid Prime 4 over from scratch, so it's going to be longer.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And that was the last announcement, wasn't it?
As far as I know, yeah. But since they're kind of shoving people in the direction of Metroid lately, I do believe that'll come, but that might also be on the next Nintendo system. So
that might be like Here's one of the last major releases for Switch, but it's also like a launch title on the new system or something.
Oh yeah, it could be on both. That's a good point. Because see, I thought in the last Nintendo Direct they said the other two Metroid Prime games were coming, didn't they?
They did. So
Okay, because I saw a lot of YouTubers speculating on if those were going to get released, and I was like, I could have sworn they said they were coming.
I
So I don't
know
know what
if
that
they're gonna
speculation was for.
be remasters necessarily, but yeah.
Oh, that might be it. You're right. I got to pay attention.
Actually, that's a good segue before we forget. What have you guys been playing?
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. I'm still playing Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm almost done. I have like 2 elevator buttons left to get, and I love it. Like I said this last week how it's a short game. I think my file's still less than 20 hours right now, and that just means that I'm going to replay it probably around Halloween because it's the perfect game for that.
Nice.
How are you, Harrison?
What have you been playing, Harrison? Yeah.
I've been playing Slay the Spire because I've just been wanting to do a roguelite and just been kind of patiently waiting. Hades 2 is coming out this year, so I'm just patiently waiting for that. Before that, I was deep into Stardew. I don't know why. It's just,
I love Stardew.
Stardew is one of those. I mean, there's probably less than 5 games that I would consider a problem in my life, but like, I just turned it off because I was like, I need to be done. I need to move on. Oh, and I just finished Inside. I've never played
nice.
Inside, that indie game, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I think it was 4 hours playthrough. I did it in one day, and I'll go back to it like once a year. I think just like a good movie or something. But also thank you for asking because my Steam Deck will be here today.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, so I know we're a Nintendo podcast, but it is like Christmas morning over here. I swear. I don't know if you'd ever be interested in collabing, but I want to do something about memories of consoles that we've gotten before, because I have a lot of great memories of, or a lot of vivid memories of, getting that console. It's like, nothing like it. So.
I also forgot to say, this would have been a better transition. I've also been playing Metroid 2 on the Switch Online system. We were talking about Metroid. So I'm almost done with. I think I'm going to play the Metroid games in release order because, as we talked about, I'm not too familiar with that series, and they keep making them available. So by the time I finish Super Metroid, the Game Boy Advance ones should be up.
So I installed the Castlevania DLC to Dead Cells. Haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
And I haven't had as much time to play, but I'm about 10 hours into Persona 5, and I'm enjoying it far more than I expected to.
Okay. But Harrison, I would absolutely be into collaborating. I'm sorry, my brain's all over the place right now. But yeah, totally, we'd be down for the system thing.
Right, because as I said, it's just I've been, all the issues with the Steam Deck and the supply issues. It has been. Actually, the shop called me yesterday. They said the one that you ordered, we're not getting it. And I was like, "What?" It's like, yeah, we're not getting it. Do you want the bigger one? I was like, all right. It's like you can have it. It's like you can have it tomorrow. I was like, all right, I guess so. It's a little,
you twisted my arm.
It's a little bit expensive, and I kind of broke the rule of. I told myself I wasn't going to buy the first generation of these Linux handhelds.
Yeah,
but oh man, like the Switch not only did it bring me back into gaming, but it totally made me into a handheld gamer again, especially with having a girlfriend now and just sitting on the couch and just knocking out games. So
Nice.
I'm handheld all the way now.
Well, that's all the news, all the rumors, everything we've been playing. I think this is a good time to move on to our Mario Power-Ups draft. So we're going to be drafting. Each of us will be making a top 5 or a 5-item list of the Mario Power-Ups. And the one rule that I kind of thought about that I cleared with everyone beforehand was Yoshi doesn't count as a power-up. And I think I set this out, the Power Star I don't think should count because, you know, it's not, it's invincibility. It's kind of overpowered.
I pretty much got it down to anything that comes out of a question mark box outside of the star.
That's a good point, but I don't know if we'll come up with other stuff because we're going to need 15 of them to clear this, but we'll see. So I don't know how to decide who goes first here. Let me.
Harrison's in the future. Let him go first.
That's a good way to do it. Okay, and then
I'm also the guest.
Yeah, there you go. and then we'll do Sean and then me. So we'll each make a list, and then I think at the end we'll ask if anybody wants to make any trades, and see how that goes. But
okay,
yeah, let me actually open up this Google Doc here so I can keep track of our lists. And I am ready when you guys are.
Well, I'll start us off. So when we did power-ups, you told me that it's not necessarily the best or the strongest, but just your favorites.
Yes.
So my first pick has to be the Super Leaf. And
okay,
something that actually I didn't ask about this, but if we want to be specific, I'm going to say the 2D Super Leaf. Because I think for me it's the most iconic. For me, it's the most sentimental. It's the cover of Super Mario Brothers 3, which was really
we've said that's probably the most like iconic video game art, like box art of all time.
But because I'm not a historian, and I was surprised about this because it's so iconic. People who don't play games would probably recognize it. Some people would. But after Super Mario Brothers 3, do you guys know when was the next time they used the Super Leaf?
I think it took until the 3D Land game for them to use it again on DS.
Super Mario 3D Land on the Wii, I believe.
3D World on the Wii definitely used it.
Right, because it took.
I think 3D Land came out first though, and I think that was the 3DS game, and I think that also used it because they were that was the first 3D World game, and it was really capitalizing on being similar to Super Mario Brothers 3 because it was like, oh, we got 3 in our title as well.
Ooh, yeah. So for me, I picked it because iconic, sentimental, and the Super Leaf was the first power-up as a kid that I really started experimenting with and trying to break the game with or do different video game habits that, we all naturally went to and probably still do today.
Oh yeah, the first thing you try to do is fly up to the top and see what's up there every time. You like try to break the game basically.
Right. Or if you're someone like me where or like all of us, I'm sure, where you had a limited amount of games and you play the same game over and over, you try to do some trick jumps. So you try to get the closest to death as possible. So yeah, for me that was it was very habit forming, this power up.
All right, Sean, what's your pick?
So my first pick is the frog suit from Mario 3.
Alrighty. Those are some trick jumps.
Yeah, I feel like that suit's so underutilized. There's like 2 or 3 levels you use it, but I'd always have a couple left over, so I'd end up being like, Giant Land, let's see what happens. So I enjoyed just having fun running around in the thing.
It wasn't that good out of water, though, if my memory serves. So, like, wasn't it like really like designed for the water levels?
Yeah, it's really awkward to use, but I don't know. I just have a lot of fun with it.
It's really cool. Like it's definitely like if I had to name 3 power-ups from Super Mario Brothers 3, that would come right after the Super Leaf, probably. so that's perfect to segue it there. Mine is the one I'm going to throw out is also from Super Mario Brothers 3. So we're pretty much draining that game. But one of my favorite Mario power-ups of all time is the Hammer Brothers suit.
Still one off my list.
Well, if you want to have hammer time, you can come over to my list.
Well, that's a really awesome power-up, and they've never brought that back, have they?
I think they have. I feel like one of the new Super Mario Brothers games had it. I could be wrong. The Wii, New Super Mario Brothers Wii, I think that has it.
Because I know, does Cappy let you do that in Odyssey?
Yes. That might be what I'm thinking of, actually.
I know he's not a power-up, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but there's just something cool about like giving them a taste of their own medicine. Like it's under the category of a projectile power up, so they're all kind of the same thing. But the fact that it's what they've been doing to you, you're like, yeah, take this back.
All right,
Harrison, where are we going now?
Well, I'm nervous now because we did three power ups for my favorite game. I wanted to switch it up, but now I think you might take it. All right, number 2 for me is the Tanuki suit.
Okay.
Also from Super Mario Brothers 3. I don't want to do that, but I'm afraid it might be on your list. I don't know, so I'm gonna take it now. They said that they knew the Tanuki suit in America and other countries was going to be confusing for audiences outside of Japan, but they were
until Limp Bizkit came along and told us that they did it all for Tanuki.
Right. That's very true. That's very true. But they were so excited to have it in that they had to keep it. So they released a game with not only a raccoon but a Tanuki. And as a huge Animal Crossing fan, I can tell you that we still don't know what a Tanuki is. Like, and
I thought it was Tom Nook when he gets drunk.
And I'll leave it there because I can make a whole hot take podcast about Tom Nook. So that's my favorite one. Oh, I'll also include that, as a kid when I played it, I think it's in World 5 where it comes out. I had no idea what it was. And, thinking back to when there was no internet and the video game discovery was like wow, just had no idea.
So
Sean, what are you
lost your
picking from
mind
Super Mario
when it
Brothers
became
3?
a statue.
Right. And it became a statue. So
yeah.
So kind of the first ground and pound, or is that in 2?
Yep.
I don't know. Right.
All right, Sean, what are you picking from Super Mario Brothers 3?
So from New Super Mario Brothers,
Okay.
the mini mushroom.
Okay.
I just like when you're playing around with sizes and like the fact that it's, you can run on water now and you can jump better, but obviously anything even looks at you, you're going to die. So I like the challenge of it and that it kind of plays with the physics in the world. And I know they've used it a few times now, but I really like that.
It's kind of like Minish Cap with Zelda when you would shrink down. Like,
Sure.
yeah, it's I too love when they play with scale, and that's why my pick is the Mega Mushroom
Oh,
because I want to stomp around like a big old Mario kaiju and just destroy everything in my wake. It's so fun. I can't believe it took them that many games to put that power up in.
I feel like that seems, maybe it is, I don't know, like a power up they would have discussed during Mario 64. And
Maybe.
for whatever reason didn't do it, but I think the only thing I don't like about it is it's so short when you get it.
Yeah, it's nice in 3D World because the levels are also short, so you're getting it for a good percentage of the level. But I agree. I would like. There's a few on my list here, and I'll mention it when we get to them that I think are too short, and I wish would stick around longer because I don't think they reach their full potential. But Mega Mushroom. All right, Harrison, what's next?
Well, Mega Mushroom was going to be my next one.
Ooh.
And I wrote down that it's satisfactory to use, and it's what I remember in like the commercials for when the new Super Mario Brothers came out. So I think
and I feel like they focused on the stomping in the commercials.
Right. So talking about something that is kind of iconic, that's just what I think about. So so then my next one I'll do Metal Mario from Mario 64.
Ooh,
nice.
That was gonna be my next one. We just swapped. But yeah, that's the one I was talking about where I was like, I feel like this was underused. Like, I loved that power up so much. I wanted more. I wanted to do more things with that.
Right. So I think at least at that point, it was the coolest Mario variant, like visually.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you look like the T-1000.
right. And as a kid and still now, I still think about how, well, like, is metal good for being under the water? I mean, I get like you're heavier, I get that, but like, wouldn't water also be bad for Metal Mario?
Yeah, corrode him.
Yeah, over time. So, also he was in Metal Mario was in Mario Golf as well, but he's like one of the
Oh yeah.
the final characters. You have to like get some kind of big achievement with birdies, but he's also in Mario Golf. So that's my next one.
Nice.
All right, Sean, where are you going for your number 3?
So I'm going with another iconic one, the cape from Super Mario World.
Ooh, see, I thought about doing that, but I was always so bad at controlling it. I always just nosedived. That was something like, speaking of, Harrison mentioned trick jumps. Like, you could do some crazy trick jumps with that cape if you're good at it.
Yeah, I got pretty good with it, and I think that's the only game it's ever shown up in. So it kind of makes it special, especially if you're like a 90s kid.
I can't think of another one. You're right.
I don't think it appears anything else, but it's the closest thing we have to Mario having a paraglider. So
true.
I like that.
I saw a funny, I don't know if it was a meme or what online the other day, but it was basically like, how does the cape work? Because if you look at it, it somehow attaches to the backs of his shoes.
Yeah.
When he's gliding. And I never saw it. They posted an image that I think is from the instruction manual, and I always thought he was squeezing it between his 2 feet. But apparently this image shows it like there's like a corner on each foot. How does that work? Did he tuck it in?
Who's asking these questions? Because none of this works.
It's a good point.
None of it works. Like who's playing Mario and it's like, this is so unrealistic. I cannot. Like,
look, I can take him being a plumber and a doctor, but the cape thing, too far.
Right.
I mean, there are mushrooms out there that will make you feel like a kaiju, but other than that, so my pick, And this is just a personality thing. Sean knows I love ice levels and I
Oh,
love ice
God.
environments in games.
Mm.
So I'm going to go with the Ice Flower from New Super Mario Brothers Wii. It's just like a cool
right.
reversal of the Fire Flower, and I like that it freezes enemies into blocks that you can pick up and throw, and then they shatter.
Yeah, that is cool.
The ice flower, you're also resistant to ice, right? Like you don't slide.
Yes. And
Yeah. So,
in the Mario Galaxy games, you can ice skate on water.
Oh yeah.
right. Right. So yeah, I like that because the sliding levels, yeah. I'd rather that.
Are those your water levels?
I think so.
I just like,
Right.
I don't know if it's because I'm also like a big Christmas person, but like I just love winter levels. I love the snow. They always have snowmen in the levels, and usually the character's wearing like a different snow outfit or something. And I don't know. So Ice Flower. That's my pick.
Nice. Okay, I'm up next. My next one is going to be the pee balloon or the power balloon.
Oh, the thing that makes
Oh,
you fat.
nice.
The thing that makes you fat. And I'll tell you guys, preparing for this podcast today, I went down a deep dive of fat Nintendo characters, or Nintendo characters that you can make fat, including the Blorbs from Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which I think I need to play now after watching some of that. But sure, it's like the pea balloon, and I imagine that in Super Mario World, I imagine that some people's first Mario experience was playing that game, and they get this pea balloon, and they're like, "What is going on? Like, I'm just fat, and like I'm not holding a balloon. I am the balloon, and I'm just kind of floating.
There's a guy
there.
chucking baseballs at me.
Right? I'm just kind of floating there."
It's weird now that
Yeah.
I think of it. Sorry to interrupt, but this just occurred to me. Like, why is there that sports theme in Super Mario World? Because you get the football players too. It's not. They don't do that in any other Mario game other than when they bring those enemies back. That's weird.
Oh, I have no idea. I feel the same way about the Yoshi turning into vehicles and the well.
Yep.
That's kind of foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about later. That's
All
why
right, Sean, give me your number 4.
All right, so I don't think this is breaking the rules because it's in a Mario game and it comes out of a question mark box. The feather from Super Mario Kart.
Why would you want that though? You just hop.
Because you can do all the shortcuts. That's like the best thing about it. And
all right, that makes sense.
There's
only like a few shortcuts that require it though. Most of them.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was always satisfying to me once I figured that out. And I love the boing like sound you get from it. And it's unfortunate it took so long for it to ever come back to Kart. But yeah, I don't know. To me, that is the best power up in that series. So I was like, that's going to be on the list.
All right, well, I'm going to stay obsessed with the new Super Mario Brothers, and I'm going to go with the squirrel suit from the last game in the series there, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U Deluxe Paragraph. It's it's a lot like the cape from Super Mario World, but I feel like I have a lot more control over the squirrel suit.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think it's adorable. So I'm going with squirrel suit.
Okay, so then that means that we have squirrel, tanuki, and raccoon, super leaf on this list. So I think
that's fine.
We made it. All right, so we're on the last rounds then. Oh,
yes.
Man. Oh man, I have one iconic and one funny. All right, my last pick is going to be the Goomba shoe from Super Mario Brothers 3.
Nice.
And I learned yesterday that apparently the Goomba shoe was used in many unused levels of Super Mario Brothers 3. And
That's like my favorite thing in that game, and there was more levels for it. Oh,
Yeah, it's great how those little bitey guys can't get you when you're wearing it.
right, right. It's a good power up. It's just very silly. I don't know if you can stack power ups with the Goomba shoe. I actually don't know, but I believe it's the only appearance, and the only other one I wrote down was the Ice Skate and Bowser's and Fury, which is similar, I guess. But I
Oh
think
yeah, they do that ice skate in 3D World as well. And you're right, it is very similar.
right, but I think it's the only game where it appears in.
It looks like they made a Lego set of it. I'm looking online right now. So that's iconic.
Right.
Yeah, it's got like a little Goomba too. Lego Super Mario Goomba shoe expansion set. Yep. I
Right.
had to check to see if this was official. Because you never know with Lego.
I mean, I think as far as Super Mario Brothers 3, I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think we're done at this point. I mean, there's only 2 left, I believe. One we can't use. So
All right, Sean, what is your final?
so I got a little boring for the 5th one, but I went OG Fire Flower, original Super Mario Brothers. It's the one that started it all. How can you not have it on there?
Yeah, and I do love his color scheme when he puts it on. I remember growing up before the internet and before I guess people looked at their instruction manuals. In my neighborhood, for some reason, they called him Painter Mario because he looks like he's getting ready to go painting when he would have the fire flower.
Oh, that's great.
And I don't know when that stopped, but for at least the NES days, my neighbors called him Painter Mario.
I'm going to paint this castle with the charred remains of my enemies.
and Fire Flower, you can use it underwater. I mean, talk about unrealistic.
That's some SpongeBob physics.
Right.
Well, I'll close this segment out with another projectile power-up. Probably the only one left is the boomerang from Super Mario 3D World. And what I like about the boomerang suit is it's always satisfying to kill an enemy when the boomerang's coming back. You know what I mean? You feel like you played it properly.
Yep.
So I'll do a recap here. Does anybody want to trade? We got Harrison's list is Super Leaf, Tanuki Suit, Metal Mario, P-Balloon, and Goomba Shoe. Sean, you've got the Frog Suit, Mini Mushroom, Cape Mario, Feather, and Fire Flower. And my list is Hammer Bro Suit, Mega Mushroom, Ice Flower, Squirrel Suit, and Boomerang.
I'm pretty okay with my picks. I'm shocked. I thought your 5th pick was going to be the penguin suit just because it falls into your little niche.
You know what's weird about that? I don't like the penguin suit. I'm not good at it. Like I always end up taking damage. Especially with my love of the snowy areas, but okay, let's move on to our last segment here and talk about the game that was randomly selected last week, which was Super Mario Brothers 2 Yoshi's Island on the Nintendo Switch. What do you call it? Switch Online.
SNES Online.
Yeah, you don't need no expansion pack for this one. So it was released August 5th, 1995. One of the most loved SNES adventures of all time, according to IGN. It's really weird that Nintendo hasn't been able to give us a Yoshi game better than this one in almost 30 years, because it seems like they're always trying to replicate it with Yoshi games, but it's never quite as good as this one, in my opinion.
I agree, and I think it's funny that to this day still I've only played 2. So this and Crafted World. So
I have Woolly World, and what else have I played? I don't know. I know I've played
Story.
Oh, yeah, Yoshi's Story. I used to own that on Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I think I still do.
And apparently Miyamoto was reluctant because he wasn't sure how or where Yoshi fit into the Mario universe. And it's funny you say that because I guess the best Yoshi game did come out 27 years ago. And are we sure now about how Yoshi fits into the Mario universe?
Yeah, you're right. We're still not. I remember seeing a YouTube video that went over the development of this game a while back. And one thing I thought was really interesting was that it wasn't always viewed as being in the Mario universe, probably from what you're saying there. Mario wasn't originally the thing that was going to be on your back the whole game. It was originally, and these sprites are still in the game if you hack it, it was originally going to be like a baby Magic Koopa. And he had like his little blue pointy hat and he was a baby. And there's also animation where he like flicks his wand and the two of you are now in like a bubble. And that's in the game's code as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that game I really remember the marketing for. Like
Harrison sent me that commercial where the guy stuffs his face and explodes.
Yeah, like that was when Nintendo was really trying to stick it to Sega with the marketing.
Exactly.
I always remembered that, like, Super Nintendo. So it's like, and then you play the game and it's like it's so cute and relaxing, and it's just like, what a weird marketing campaign.
Right. It is.
Go ahead.
Oh, it is weird. It's a weird commercial, and with the contrast of the game, and it is a quite relaxing game with the theme and the animation, the music. But I found the goal, the incentive, the message in the game to be kind of dark for a Nintendo game this early. It's because and I know it's all ridiculous and it's monsters and it's not real, but for some reason, like capturing a princess and keeping her in a castle for whatever reason that we don't think about or discuss is a lot better than if you don't do well, we will kidnap the baby.
And it'll cry and your parents will hate that you're playing this game.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the animation in here. It's another thing that's left over from early development, where at one point they toyed with the idea of the art style being more like Donkey Kong Country.
Right.
And that's why there's like the weird like CG animation in the cutscenes, is that's apparently left over from that.
Oh, that's interesting.
But Shigeru Miyamoto really liked the art, like the hand-drawn art style. So they went with that instead. He thought, like, basically people in the company were telling him, no, this is the future. Go the Donkey Kong Country graphics way. And he was like, I think people like this too. And they did. He was right.
I think it's maybe one of the best looking games on that system.
They both are. Country and this. Like, yeah, they're shining examples of what that thing can do.
You know how much I love Donkey Kong Country, but I think Super Mario World 2 just outshines it in every conceivable way. I don't feel like Country's visuals hold up now.
Well, again, back to, I don't know how computers work, but apparently the Yoshi transformations into the vehicles was something that was really impressive for what the Super Nintendo was capable of. This is one of only 3 games that used the Super FX 2 chip. And I looked the other 2 up, but I didn't write them down because they were games like nobody's ever heard of. So, it used like the more advanced version of that chip.
So do you guys agree, or am I alone? All the vehicle transformations look insanely painful.
I like the helicopter.
Yeah. They're all pretty fun. The thing I thought was interesting about them is that you use them for the section and then they have that block with Yoshi on it you have to hit to change back, or it runs out and it sends you back to where you got it. And it's just an interesting idea because they've never really done that again.
Right. I found that interesting as well, especially with this being my first playthrough of the game, because
Oh,
because there was no hand holding in that part. So yeah, it took me, I think, the third time before realizing that. So it is a weird mechanic, and yeah, something I did think about playing the game is that it had to be pushing the limits as far as what the system could do.
oh
And
yeah.
they said before the release that they knew this was going to be it. They knew this was going to be the last one on this system, and the last 2D game for, well, I think it was the last 2D game until 2008 for Nintendo.
So
Um,
the other games that use the FX2 chip are Doom and
Okay.
Winter Gold, which is a winter sports
Olympics,
game. Not Olympics. It just says in the
just
game,
winter
players
sports.
participate in 6 winter sports dispersed across 4. Oh, yeah, Olympic venues. Okay. Should have just kept reading.
And then,
Um,
yeah, I think Super Mario World 2 is better than the original game. It has some of the best boss fights, I think, of any 2D platformer.
well, not only is it better than the original Super Mario Brothers, I agree with that. But if anyone were to disagree with that, what I would say is if you had to only keep one in the Super Nintendo's library, either Super Mario World or Super Mario World 2, you'd keep Super Mario World 2, I think, because everything that's done in Super Mario World you can get in another Mario game. But you can't really get this experience in another Yoshi game, as we talked about. They're not, none of them are as good.
Yeah, and I feel like even though Crafted World's the only other one I've played, I mean, they always have Bowser Jr. and Magikoopa as the bad guys, but that game didn't have like interesting power-ups. Like they really just rely on the throwing the eggs, and that really seems to be the carryover through the Yoshi games is that
Yes.
mechanic. So I think it almost feels like they're afraid to take that risk again and do wacky power-ups for Yoshi.
Harrison, this being your first time through it, what did you think of the music? Because to me, this is some of my favorite Mario game music like ever.
well, I mean, I think the music in it is phenomenal, and it reminds me of the quality of music Nintendo puts out now.
Hmm.
And I like that it's at times it's light, at times it's very playful, and at times it kind of plays on like an idea or a motif and builds and layers on it. So and again, like just playing through it and thinking of the capabilities as far as the audio go with the Super Famicom. Uh, I thought I thought the music in it was great. Uh,
There's a
but
part that I always hear because I played this when it first came out, and you know this is more of a contemporary song back then. But in the main theme, there's the part where it goes dun dun dun, and then I hear "Total Eclipse of the Heart" every single time, and I don't think I will ever not hear it.
Well, now I'm gonna hear it, so thanks.
uh,
So, just out of curiosity, guys, favorite boss fight?
I like the ghost that's in the potted plant that you have to push over because they put some amazing facial like features on him for like when he's worried about what you're doing and when he figures out what you're doing. And yeah, you push that little he's a ghost coming out of a potted plant and you got to push him over the edge and he keeps pushing you back. I love that one.
for me, it's the naval piranha. I think that's World 3.
Okay, yeah,
That's a good one.
Just just because it's the coolest looking. I don't know.
I love
it
the
is
enemy.
very cool looking.
I love the enemies in the level that I don't think are in any other Mario game, which are those like giant I don't even know how to describe them. Just blobs, like the gigantic blobs. You shoot them in the mouth and they go down. Like
Oh yeah.
they're not in anything else. What's your favorite boss, Sean?
I really like the crow on the moon.
Oh,
That's
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 really
just
cool.
a fun fight, and as you're going through it, it's almost like the crow's like, "You better not do that again." So I just like the mechanic of it. It's a fun fight, and then I know we've said this before, but it's one of the best end fights of a Mario game ever. So
And something I also think is cool about it is a lot of the other Yoshi games also try to incorporate, like, especially Yoshi's Story on the Nintendo 64 tries to incorporate, like, well, the game's easy, but you could try to get 100% on each level. And this is the only time I kind of want to. Like, they make it rewarding enough. I don't know if it's because you're
yeah,
collecting different things, whereas in Yoshi's Story, it's just the fruit. But yeah, I try to 100% each level, and I'll go back and play and find those coins or find that flower I'm missing.
so I guess before we go to, I'm sure, are totally shocking where it is on the lists. I agree with you too, Kevin. I wish they would bring back his feet shuffling as the sound when he floats, because
Oh
it's
yeah. So
just that
Harrison, we
great
mentioned this in
thing.
another episode. In all the recent Yoshi games, they make him like make a strained noise when he does his little hover. It's like,
Mhm.
but in this game, it's a little flutter kick that, and I don't know. I much prefer that.
Right. Well, we have to add in the flutter kicks if we're gonna not be able to take the. Why can't we disable the baby?
That's
Like
like the
Because
only negative to this game.
be- because and I also looked around too to see, like, did anybody make a game, like a ROM game, something like did anyone take out the sound? And I couldn't find any of it. But come on, at least in the online service, at least in the virtual console, like, we can't add that. Oh, also in the virtual console, I kind of wish we could have changed the shooting mechanics. I know that the pressing A and the timing, the shooting the
mhm.
egg, it's very old school. It's very like Madden 2002 or something like that. But I wish we could aim and shoot, like aim with the right stick, shoot with the trigger.
Yeah, on a modern controller, that makes a lot of sense.
But I guess you're kind of taken away from the mechanics of the game and the frustrating parts of it.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Harrison, since 95, 96, whenever I originally borrowed the game from Kevin, Baby Mario's cries haunt me to this day.
So,
I
oh, go
Yeah,
ahead. I was just gonna. I
it's
have some
iconic.
other
That's it.
random notes.
Yeah, it's just iconic. That's it.
So, other random notes before we close out here, I have is originally in the game. So, the Power Star works different than other Mario games in this, where instead of Yoshi like flashing and becoming invincible, uh, Baby Mario hops off his back and Yoshi's in like an egg, and Baby Mario runs around invincible and he can run up walls. Um,
Crazy
apparently,
baby.
early in development, um, the star transformed Baby Mario into Adult Mario, and the developers just didn't think it fit the tone of the game at all. But that was like the original thing that it did. I
Is
thought that
it
was interesting.
adult Mario also in a diaper? Or
No, it was it. I think it was his sprite from Super Mario World, but they said like
okay.
this doesn't make any sense. Basically, in a game where a lot doesn't make sense, that was where the line was crossed.
No, that's too far, guys. Come on.
I just thought
I,
it was worth mentioning also this game's on the 1001 games you must play before you die list, which isn't in any particular order, so it's not like ranked. But I did note that the Nintendo had almost 200 games on the list, and
Wow.
that's not including games that were available on multiple platforms. So over 200 games on that list you can play on a Nintendo system. And this list predates the Wii U. So it's time for an updated list. We're two
right.
systems old now.
I think it would still be on that list, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Game Informer did a list in 2018 of the best games ever, and it was number 292.
I'll take it.
Respectful.
Which sounds exhausting, by the way, because I know we all do like tier lists now, like this is S tier, this is A tier, but
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being like, well, I think 291 is better than 292 because of this. I'd be like, you know what, whatever. I don't care anymore. Like it just sounds exhausting.
Well, speaking of lists and ranking things, Sean, I think we're both in agreement here. We've been ranking the different games we review from the Switch Online service, and I think this is the top of the list for sure, at least for now.
Yeah, it's easily number one. I mean, it's the best thing we've played so far.
So my top 5 is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Kirby Adventure, Congo's Caper, Ice Climber, and Kung Fu Heroes. Your top 5 is Yoshi's Island, Kirby Adventure, Kung Fu Heroes, Congo's Caper, and Spanky's Quest. So pretty much Ice Climber is the biggest difference in our rankings right now.
Because it's awful.
It's not that bad. It's better than Kung Fu Heroes. I will die on that hill.
Well, I will fight you on that hill with my ill-timed punches.
Okay, so let's pick a random game for next week's podcast. All right, and loading result. NES, Donkey Kong Jr. So next week we're going to be playing some Donkey Kong Jr. I know you're a big Donkey Kong fan, Sean, so that's right up your alley. Not exactly the Donkey Kong Country games, but we'll be reviewing that. I'm glad we're knocking off these NES games because it's the biggest chunk of the list. So,
well, I told you, like, if you're paying the what some say outrageous price for the whole online, there's almost 200 games on there now. So.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a steal. I pay for the family pack because my wife uses it on her Switch, and she has a cousin in Brazil who's like 10 years old, something like that. He's a kid. So we let him on there as well. So I think it allows you up to 5 users, which is a lot. Like if Netflix found out you had 5 people on that account, they'd kick you off. So yeah, that's what we're doing next week. We got some Donkey Kong Jr. coming up. Harrison, do you have anything you'd like to promote before we close this out?
Not too much now, but my website is harrisonpostswords.com. So if you want, you can check me out on there. That's where I write. That's where I blog, usually about sports, sometimes about travel, other things. And thank you guys so much for having me on today.
Oh, thanks for
being on.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. I'll shoot you a message again because we're getting a rotating cast here. We're going to keep it on rotating, and yeah, we've loved everyone we've had so far. So we've had a lot of good luck. And as always, keep in mind that we are Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So if you'd like to send us any corrections on anything we said today, let us know about anything we might have forgot to talk about. We're email. Our email is nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. We also have @Nintendotherapy on Twitter, and we have a Reddit group, Nintendo Therapy, r/Nintendo Therapy. You'll find it there. It's going to grow at some point. I'm confident. So yeah, again, thanks, Harrison. Thanks for taking the time. It was great chatting with you, and I can't wait to talk more Nintendo with you in the future. You are in the future, actually. You can tell me if we talk more Nintendo. All the way in Thailand. 12 hours ahead. And goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Happy Mario Day.
Mario Day.